I think as we were talking earlier, I was watching Ben Shapiro on
Megyn Kelly.
Megyn Kelly, yes. And he was attacking you for some reason or other, I forget what. And he was saying that, then he suddenly says, but Tucker's good on some things, he's good on immigration.
Tucker is of the right, and Tucker has been fighting for a lot of these ideas for a long time, and he's changed this country fundamentally for the better.
I'm not saying Tucker has never been a wonderful advocate for anything on the right, because I don't think that's true. I think in the past, he was a great advocate for many things on the right, particularly on the immigration issue, for sure. I'm saying that's not what he is doing now. I do not think he is advocating for right-wing positions. He is not conservative than I am by any stretch of the imagination on any possible issue. And when it comes to the question as to whether he is actually making the conservative movement more likely to lose by attacking inside the tent significantly more often than anyone else on the right, while simultaneously massaging, again, watch the interview, massaging the nation's leading white supremacist, I'm sorry, there's no détente with those positions. Forget about the person. There's no détente with those positions.
Well, as I understand it, you're interested in the idea of immigration moratorium and so on.
Of course.
This is news to me. That's what Ben Shapiro thinks is good about immigration.
Well,
I mean, just about 5 or 6 years ago, in National Review, he called me a white supremacist for no other reason than advocating immigration reduction. And those days, back in the early days, if you advocated immigration control, you're immediately suspect. You're immediately suspect of being anti-Semite, even though there's no direct connection at all. And now they've changed their mind on this. They've fallen back. I mean, Norman, before he died, I was very friendly with Norman. He didn't talk to me for the last 10 years of his life. But he died just a few weeks ago at the age of 95. But just before he died, he gave an interview in which he said he changed his mind on immigration. He thought there was a limit to how much immigration could be absorbed. And he credited John O'Sullivan, the editor of National Review, for helping change his mind. He didn't mention me.
Why didn't he speak to you for the last 10 years of his life?
Well, I think he just decided that I was a suspicious character. And I deviated on the immigration issue, and he suspected. I had the habit of calling the National Review the Goldberg Review, because at that stage, briefly, it was dominated by Jonah Goldberg, who I think is a complete fraud and lightweight, and of course was absolutely boneheaded on the immigration issue.
Well, he's certainly a lightweight. It's hard to know what he believes or doesn't, but he's certainly, I mean, if Jonah Goldberg is like your intellectual force, then you've been degraded.
Well, Norman actually emailed me and said, you've got to stop calling National Review the Goldberg Review because it sounds anti-Semitic. Actually, my understanding is that Goldberg is not technically Jewish. His mother was a Gentile. So I
knew her. She was a great person,
right.
Actually.
I replied and said that, and he didn't get back. But he just gradually suspected more. He suspected me more and more of thought crime. Norman was an extremely passionate man. He didn't.
Oh. So famously.
He didn't socialize with opponents. I miss him. I really liked him. I was sorry that.
No, there was a lot about him that was appealing. Right. He was a man of great energy, and I admired him in a lot of ways. Kind of repulsive in others, but certainly he was not standing still. He was constantly in motion, and
we actually owe his wife Midge Dexter a lot, because she was the chair thing of the Philadelphia Society, and which is a conservative affinity group, and she invited me to speak on immigration.
Yes,
in I guess 2005, and that's where I met my first wife had just died, and that's where I met my current wife Lydia, who of course was running the VDare Foundation with me. She was the publisher of VDare.com, and you've had her on, of course.
Oh, of course, and I'm a fan. She's a brave woman and a smart one. May I ask what happened to your relationship with Bill Buckley?
When he fired John O'Sullivan, I was the only one of the entire staff who went in and asked, why did you fire him? Because
what?
Yeah, well, the official line was John had resigned to write a book. That was because John was very popular with the National Review base, and the immigration issue was very popular, and so he didn't want to admit that he was dumping them both. So he got really ruffled because he wasn't used to being challenged, and said, he resigned to write a book and resigned to write a book. And we basically never really spoke to each other after that. I mean, I was constructively dismissed from National Review. I got a letter telling me I was no longer a senior editor, which was actually very, very important in the National Review wool, because it was run like a fraternity, and if you were senior, you were automatically invited to all kinds of events and so on, and to his dinners and all that kind of thing. And I never wrote for it again.
Why did they dismiss you, do you think?
Oh, well, I'm sure that the Washington Bureau was always upset with the immigration issue because it embarrassed them. It embarrassed them in Washington cocktail parties, and he put the Washington Bureau in charge of the magazine. So I'm sure they would be happy to do it, and they didn't want to write about immigration. And I think also, mud sticks, Tucker. So,
mud sticks, yeah.
And by this constant whispering campaign of how I was a racist and anti-Semite for raising these issues, it sticks. And it has stuck. So that, even though Ben Shapiro is now in favor of just talking about immigration, I don't see him apologizing to me.
No, well, of course not. He doesn't care about you at all, or other people at all.
I had a really interesting experience recently. Lydia and I were at an ISI book event, and I bought Matthew Cotonetti's book. I mean, I actually bought it. I put down it's a rotten, awful book about the conservative movement. It says that I was born in Canada, which I obviously wasn't.
He's a silly. I mean, this is Bill Kristol's son-in-law.
Bill Kristol's son-in-law. That's the point. I took it up to him when I like to collect inscribed books. In fact, I forgot to bring your book. I'm sorry, but and he wouldn't sign it. He wouldn't inscribe it. He said, "I have nothing to say to you." And the really weird thing about this is
on what ground? I mean, I don't think you've ever said that I'm aware of an anti-Semitic thing in your life. I don't think you're an anti-Semite.
Well, Cotonetti is a convert, of course, so he's probably very, particularly ardent. But the weird thing about this was that Cotonetti had actually written some quite sensible things on immigration, which is odd when you think of his father-in-law as.
But he said to your face, "I won't inscribe your book because I have nothing to say to you."
Essentially, yes, that's right. He just wouldn't. He signed it, but he wouldn't inscribe it. And then he said, "I have nothing to say to you."
Wow. Yeah,
it's kind of surprising. I mean, we live out there in the Eastern Panhandle of West Virginia, and we don't have to face this stuff. But I guess when you're in D.C., you face it all the time.
Yeah, well, I left. But I also believe in forgiveness, and that's kind of the difference, I think. I mean, we're commanded to believe in forgiveness and to treat people as human beings.
Norman didn't believe them.
No, I'm very aware of that. Very aware of that.
It was a principal position with him.
Yeah, it's a principle, but it's a satanic principle that you can't forgive other people. That is, you're not forgiven if you don't. So that's my view. But wow, that's amazing. So you were just cast out.
Well, the thing is, he'd already signed the book, so I couldn't give it. He signed it, but undescribed. I couldn't give it back. Get my money back. Whereas conversely, Yoram Hazony was also there, and Hazony, as you know, banned us from his National Conservative Conference because he said he didn't think we were appropriate. And so we had a series of bitter exchanges in video, but Hazony was perfectly friendly, and he signed the book and inscribed it, and we chatted about children and grandchildren and so on.
Yoram Hazony is a very courtly man, a very charming and warm person, I'll say. I had lunch with him once, and I don't agree with him on a lot, but I liked him. It's hard not to like him.
I think he's very good. I mean, a lot of the stuff he says about conservatism is exactly accurate. I mean,
but I think that's right.
Moving it away from being classical liberalism.
Christmas feels like just yesterday, but in fact, it's already time to think about Lent. Lent is a great chance to step back, examine our lives, and decide whether or not we're headed somewhere worth going. This Lent, we strongly recommend the world's top #1 prayer app. It's called Hallow. Its Lent prayer challenge starts February 18th. It's called Pray 40, The Return. Transformation does not start with improvement. No, transformation starts with repentance, the courage to admit that you are lost and change direction. Pray 40 forces you to confront that responsibility, forgiveness, and what it means to truly repent and live a life of meaning by following Jesus. Every day, enjoy simple, deliberate prayer. No spectacle, no performance, just silence, honesty, and one small step toward renewal. This is not about fixing your life overnight. It's about beginning the journey home. Pray 40, The Return, starts Wednesday, February 18th and runs right through Easter. Download Hallow for free at hallow.com/Tucker. Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. We hope you'll subscribe to it. And by the way, you can hit the little bell on there and get notifications every time we produce a video. We hope you'll do that also.